Good afternoon. I'm just going to provide a brief update on the missing person situation we have. What it is we have a video from Suzanne Simpson, from Sunday night, and we're going to post it presently right now. We're posting it. DPSPIO is posting that as we speak. We wanted to get that out to you because of what she's wearing, and we're still hoping that some of the public might have seen her wearing what she's wearing in that photo. We have a picture here we're going to pass out to you, but please check because it's going out from the DPSPIO, and we want everybody to see and check that photo and see if they've seen this young lady or not. Still have not heard from her, and we still do not know where she is. If you have some questions, I'll do my best briefly.
Chief, what is currently going on here at this location? It has seemed like there's been less activity as the days have gone on.
There's less activity now because we have limited resources, and we will activate more searches here as needed, but right now we're doing more things, writing search warrants and doing various things like that.
Have you been able to search inside the home?
We have, and we do have some possible evidence, but it takes so long sometimes to analyze that evidence. So we don't have any results back from anything there yet.
You have the clothes, and you want people to look for the clothes, but have you gathered any other evidence that you want people to say, this might help us?
Yes, well that clothing, in the instance that maybe she was missing, that she's still missing, and she was seen on Sunday, since Sunday night, we want people to have seen that photo and say, you know what, I think we saw her. I think we saw her. And maybe she's in that same clothing, we don't know. Maybe she was in distress. We don't know that, but we want the public to have seen her and say, I recognize her.
What about cell phone records? You found her phone. Do you have his phone? Is there anything in the pings that would tell people anywhere that they ought to be looking in a certain area for something that might help you?
No, we don't have her phone. We would love to have her phone, as I mentioned yesterday. We do have electronic opportunities, and that's what we're writing different warrants for, but those take so much time. And we are trying all electronic devices, as you can imagine, very common nowadays, to try to get information from them. And that's what we're trying. We're trying every avenue. But in the case that somebody has seen her and she's in distress, that night we think she was in distress. She may be somewhere and we just don't know about it. It's very suspicious, though, that obviously she's not going to work and she's not checking in on her children. So that's obvious. That's an obvious problem. But at the same time, we don't want to miss an opportunity to say, hey, this is what she looks like. Maybe somebody out there knows where she is, or she's hiding away or something. So that's why we're showing you the clothing.
Do you know where we got that video from?
That's from the Argyle Club in Alamo Heights, outside of it.
Rod Simpson, any more charges we can expect against him from any other agencies?
Well, not from any other agencies that I know of, but of course we are looking at any possible charges that we might have. Right now we don't have other charges except for those two.
Is there a possibility that those charges will be escalated since he was moved from Kendall County to Bexar County?
He is in our custody, and I'll say that there obviously is that opportunity that we would upgrade charges, but we're not there yet. We don't have that kind of evidence.
Has anybody started cooperating?
No.
As far as not cooperating, he's not talking at all. Have y'all tried questioning him?
Yes, and he still has not cooperated. We would love for him to give us some information because we're searching for her. The children have reached out, and we're cooperating with them to try to get as much help as we can. Obviously, these four kids miss their mom, and so we're doing everything we can.
Will you be deploying any volunteer search groups on top of what you're already doing?
Possibly again, yes. There's some search groups that we have that have such good technology, and that's gonna be priority. And so we've learned that they're very, very efficient. We have found things out here that don't pertain to this case that probably wouldn't have been found unless we had professional, assistance like those. We found a gun. I'll tell you that. We found a gun, had nothing to do with this case, very old, but these are professional, well-trained searchers, and that's why we want them for now.
Chief, Brad is facing a charge of assault and unlawful restraint. Do we know why his bonds amount are at $1 million each? Why is it so high?
Because it was a risk. These are very commonly risks that we find He may be a danger to her, and so that's why the bond was so high.
Have you searched any other properties?
I'm not going to comment on where, but I'll tell you, yes, we're searching other properties.
Did you get any hits on any of the warrants you have so far, like for example the house?
Any hits on?
Anything that you were looking for? Did you find anything on those searches?
No, nothing yet on those searches.
Where exactly is Mr. Simpson now?
He's in our custody. I don't want to say exactly right now exactly where, and that's because we're trying to maintain the integrity of the case and also be very transparent with information that we can give you on behalf of the family and the community here and everybody. It's overwhelming how many people have reached out and are still reaching out about her whereabouts and how are the kids and all that. So we owe it to them to do absolutely everything. There have been cases when somebody is found alive, injured, in severe distress, hidden away, all of those things. We're not going to give up on that. So we'll continue to do updates and put out information as we can, like that clothing and other things. But at this point, that's where we're at.
So do you believe that Suzanne may be naked if you found her clothing?
Do we believe what?
That Suzanne might be naked if you find her without clothing, since you have that?
No, we don't have that clothing. We have a picture of her in that clothing, and that you know, it's very possible that somebody saw her since Sunday or early Monday morning and said, man, I saw her in those clothes. She didn't look, you know, very good. Y'all need to help us out with that. That's always a possibility, and that's why we're putting that picture out.
Did you get any good tips from releasing his vehicle? Has anyone called in about that?
We have not released it.
Or the picture of his vehicle I'm talking about.
Oh.
Any
Yeah,
good
you
tips
said
there?
go look for that vehicle.
Right, absolutely. We haven't got any folks that have called and said we've seen that vehicle in this suspicious nature, like it's parked in some unusual spot or something like that. We have not received that.
I know you said you're searching other properties. Have you searched Brad's ranch?
We're checking other properties. There's other properties that we're checking. It's time consuming, and we're doing the best we can with that, for sure.
Would that be a yes for his ranch?
Yes, we're checking all the technical data we can. Absolutely. You know, some of the technical expertise that's needed, we're borrowing that. And so all the past, 48 hours has been that. So, and those returns of technical requests through warrants, all of that is starting to happen. So we're confident that we'll get some information.
So far, we've only talked about criminal cases. Are there any civil actions or complaints or protective orders or restraining orders related to him issued in the recent past that would give us cause to think that people knew that he was in trouble and behaving badly before this?
There's there were conditions on his bond, and again, I won't speak to that. I'll let that for another time. No, before this, I have no idea about any of those things. I don't think so. None of that's come to my attention. That doesn't mean that's not possible.
Have you guys found hair or any DNA that would connect Suzanne to the truck or anything else you guys have found?
So we're going to have things tested. We don't have anything very positive, and it takes time. Those hits, as you know, take a lot of time to get results back from. So yeah, that's going to be a lot of waiting for a laboratory to get back with results.
When you put out his vehicle and asked if it had been seen in any unusual locations, is that because there's an idea that he might have dumped the body somewhere?
Those things are always possible, but that's speculation even on our part. He has a vehicle, and that's what we wanted y'all to see. If somebody has seen that vehicle, like we mentioned yesterday, and it was moving out and about, we would like to know where it was. We want to know the whereabouts of that vehicle.
So are you looking for a body or are you looking for Suzanne hopefully alive at this point?
We would love for her to be alive, obviously. There's nothing concrete that says she's not alive. And again, I owe it to the family. We all owe it to the family to speak of her in a way where other people have been found, like I said, injured, in distress, lost, troubled, hiding away. All of those things are possible. So our expectations are, of course, that we get her back alive. It was obviously something very stressful happened Sunday night, very unusual, out of character for her to be missing from work. to be missing from her kids. So of course we are holding out hope, and the family deserves us to be positive about it. But at the same time, we're looking at every single possible thing we can to see if there are other charges. And at this time, we don't have that.
Yesterday, you said you found 2 pieces of evidence. You didn't want to disclose what those things were.
Yep.
Are we at a point in time where we can talk about what exactly you have found?
There was a piece of clothing that we are not sure now that it matches up. But just like the gun we found that we were absolutely sure it had nothing to do with, it's been out there a long, long time, way before this incident. It's kind of like that, but we couldn't let it go. You know, we couldn't say that. We couldn't say that it was involved in any way. But we had to go ahead and collect it just as professionally as we could with the CSI.
Have any other members of the Simpson family been interviewed, and if so, are they cooperating?
Yes, we have cooperation from the Simpson family, the folks that we've had contact with. They've been helpful, and we're very happy with that. But there's a lot of information, and just sifting through it and developing evidence, not just listening and writing it down and typing it out, but following it up and check the veracity of it takes time.
You've said Brad has been uncooperative. What does that mean? He's just not saying anything at all as a lawyer?
My understanding is yes, he has a lawyer and he is not talking to us. Prior to that, he did want to speak and we were supposed to meet, and he failed to meet with us. Some of the family has spoken to us, friends have spoken to us, acquaintances, many people, but he himself has not.
In your time as an officer, can you speak to the rareness or bizarreness of this case?
I'm not going to say it's bizarre. It's common that sometimes in the family violence situations, when the victim is a woman, she will be very frightened, obviously, naturally. So we're holding out hope that maybe she's trying to be away from the home to get away from that situation. That's not totally uncommon. But what is uncommon, what is unusual, is that this was a woman who worked and was very dependable and loved her children and was always in contact with her children and her family and her friends. And suddenly that stopped after Sunday night.
Is there any evidence pointing you in any direction besides Brad?
We have investigated some of the things. People come to us with social media posts and things like that we are following up on, and those are people. But at this time, of course, we're looking at Brad because of the fact of the family violence.
How many calls or clues do you think you've had from folks?
Oh, it's really hard. I mean, I don't know.
Thousands?
Over 100 folks have reached out to say, hey, this is important and this is not. We're not trying to stop that. We just ask people with good, pertinent information that they think is key to finding out what happened to Suzanne. That's what we're looking for. And some of that may have already helped, but to follow up on it and see that it's credible and that it makes, that we can confirm that, that's what's taking time, and it always does.
Say you're holding out hope that maybe Suzanne is just scared and wanting to remove herself. If that is the case and she was watching, is there anything you say to her right now?
Suzanne, if that's the situation and you're afraid or you've been injured, and this was such a hard situation from what we hear from family and friends, they've obviously love you and care much about you, and your children are very concerned. If there's anyone that knows her whereabouts, or Suzanne knows that you're going through such a tough time, we ask that you please reach out. We can get you protected. We can protect you. That's our message to you.
You described that there were you learned of tensions between the couple yesterday. Since yesterday, have you learned more about possibly the relationship leading up to the disappearance?
No, just the continuing, more recent tension.
¿Nos puede dar un resumen en español?
Sí,
De lo que
pero no tan perfecto, pero
está
más o
bien,
menos.
Lo que pueda decir del caso.
Sí, esto empezó el domingo en la noche y había una pelea, pero no tan físico, más como estaban en un argument fuerte, ¿verdad? En público, en Alamo Heights, en un club que se dice el Argyle Club. Entonces, mucha gente vio que ellos estaban en eso y luego después aparece que estaban peleando aquí el señor con la señora aquí en Alamo Heights, aquí digo en Olmos Park, y que ella estaba tratando de irse de él y dejarlo físicamente correr y él estaba deteniéndola. Entonces,
Cuéntenos, ¿cuál es la última información que tiene acerca de ella? ¿Qué es lo que nos vino a compartir ahora acerca de ella?
Sí, lo que tenemos y queremos enseñarlos es una foto. Se ve mejor en el internet, que pueden ver la ropa que él tenía y el vestido, cómo ella estaba vestido. Pensamos que posiblemente ella estaba herida después en la noche, el domingo, entonces puede ser que alguien la vio por cualquier lado y dicen, hey, yo la vi el lunes en la mañana por ahí y no estaba bien, algo así. Posiblemente si tenía la misma ropa, pues es posible.
¿Y qué mensaje le tienen a la comunidad?
Eso que en el primer lugar, violencia doméstica es algo muy importante, ¿verdad? Y oímos eso todo el tiempo y eso afecta a todos los niños, gente en el trabajo, vecinos y todo eso. Y hay que de veras empezar a hablar con sus vecinos y sus amigos y con alguien si eso está pasando en su familia.
¿Y un mensaje para Suzanne si tiene miedo?
Sí, Suzanne, pues si tiene miedo y está en un lugar, pasé el mensaje que queremos nosotros que ella sepa que vamos a cuidarla lo mejor que podemos, protegerla con todo lo que podemos, porque sabemos que esa es una situación muy, muy grave.
Cuéntenos por último acerca de Brad. ¿Él ya ha estado cooperando con ustedes o sigue en la misma situación?
No, Brad no está cooperando con nosotros. Él no quiere hablar con nosotros y no quiere ayudarnos en buscarla. No quiere.
Él dijo que estaba preocupado por ella.
Uno piensa que él quisiera, un esposo va a querer preguntarnos algo. Aquí estamos. Y no, hasta ahora él no nos ha preguntado nada de cómo, si estamos hallando algo o algo así.
¿Esos comportamientos de él tal vez elevan sus sospechas hacia él, ustedes?
Pues claro, es natural, nuestra sospecha es alta, pero al mismo tiempo queremos buscar por todas maneras. Hay casos en donde algo muy raro pasa y una persona que no pensamos la vio caminando y la levantó y la llevó, algo así. Hay muchas cosas que pueden pasar.
¿Y el señor Simpson no han visto remordimiento o preocupación de su parte física? O sea, ¿no ha mostrado físicamente preocupación por su esposa?
No, nada de eso, no. La próxima vez pienso que tenemos más información, pero es todo lo que tenemos por mientras.
Por última vez, ¿nos podría quizás nada más enseñar la foto usted, por favor?
Sí, claro. Este es el foto de ella del domingo en la noche. No es una foto muy bien, pero se ve bien en el internet. Estaba ella en un vestido negro, como bien, así. Okay.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
You're going to send that photo to us, right?
Yeah, it should be emailed as we speak, a little earlier. DPSPIO should have been emailing it out.
Okay. Everybody.
Thank you.